Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and it is Discovery episode review time, specifically Season 3, Episode 5, entitled Die Trying, which I watched earlier today, and I'm going to get right into my review. As usual, I've taken some notes, and these are my thoughts on the episode. In the opening, Saru is talking about how Starfleet headquarters and Federation headquarters are separate entities located in the same place. What I don't understand is why would they be separate entities? I mean, they are separate entities, but that's like saying the government of the United States is different from the military of the United States, or the Peace Corps of the United States, or the National Guard of the United States. It's the same entity. So I don't know. And they're probably both headquartered in Washington, D.C. in real life. I know that, of course, the Congress and the courts, the federal court, the Supreme Court, and of course the White House are all located in D.C. The Pentagon's in D.C. So what is this separate entities located in the same place? How original, thing is he going on about? It's not that original. It's expected. Then he says that they're going to have questions about the burn. Well, why would they have questions? You would have questions. That's understandable. You jumped into this time from the past. They went through it. There are things about it they don't understand, and certainly they have questions remaining about what it was and how it happened, but not any that they're going to be asking you. It doesn't make sense. And why is Adira on the bridge? Because she embodies the memories of the Admiral? That doesn't make any sense. At least I don't think so. If she were in Starfleet, that would be one thing, but she's not even in Starfleet. Why is she on the bridge? Stupid. Once they pass through the barrier and they're gazing upon, basically the entirety of Starfleet such as it is, and the entirety of, the Federation HQ and Starfleet HQ, such as they are, their different crew members are exclaiming about the different kinds of ships they're looking at. They say something about, well, the hulls of some of these ships are organic, and the hulls of some of these ships appear to be just holographic. And, oh, look, a Constitution class ship, isn't that cool? Actually, would be pretty cool, but do they show you it really? No. They just mention it. You see something on the screen for a split second. Do you get a good look at it? No. Why would you want to do that? The most storied starship in all of Star Trek happens to be a Constitution class, and it might be interesting to see what they look like 1,000 years into the future in this universe, but did they show you? No. And then they say USS Voyager, and you get a little bit of a look at that, but it's kind of dark, and you only see it in close-up. You don't see it from a distance. You can't really make it out. Really? I just thought that was awful. Then something happens where it becomes obvious that Starfleet recognized that Adira was, Trill, and the one that I guess they must know has the memories of Natal. And Michael remarks to one of the other crew members, wow, their sensors must be advanced enough in this century to detect the symbiote. The symbiont. Really? So you're telling me the crew of the Enterprise D wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a Romulan life sign, a Ferengi life sign, a Trill life sign, and a human life sign? For example, on a planet from a scan? Of course they could. So they would be able to tell a Trill life sign. Unless I'm misremembering, I seem to remember them saying it's a human life sign. So if they can tell that, they can tell other species, right? I don't know. I'd have to look it up, or you can tell me in the comments, or you can email me over here and tell me if I'm crazy, but it seems to me that the sensors in the 23rd century were able to tell the difference between various life signs. So Michael should not be in awe of this ability. Then a couple of people beam over from the Discovery to the Starfleet headquarters, station or whatever, and it's instant, no kind of beaming thing, just instant. Although that was pretty cool. And then they mentioned something about 100,000 years. I guess that's how long the sphere was around before it merged with Discovery. They probably mentioned that before, like in season 2, and I didn't catch it or I didn't remember it. But I heard it this time, and it's funny because 100,000 Years is actually the name of a very cool Kiss song. 100,000. So they go and they meet the Starfleet people, and the Admiral tells them, about these people that are sick, and we're trying to figure out, where they've been, so that we can try to figure out maybe what they ingested or what they were hit with, so that we can cure them. And Michael says, well, give us the information, send us, we can travel real fast and we'll help. And he's like, no, I don't know you, I don't trust you. Yeah, okay, you're Starfleet, but I'm not trusting you, which of course is wise. And she goes back with Suru to Discovery, and she's talking to Suru about, all right, let's get our hands on that data of where they've been, and then we'll just go. And I'm thinking, there she goes again. Like, you are a Starfleet officer. You're supposed to follow protocol. You're supposed to follow orders. You're not just like some free agent that can just do whatever you want. Now, Kirk does stuff like that all the time in Star Trek. They'll tell him, this is the situation, and here's what we're doing. And he's like, yeah, I don't like that, Spock. Let's try this other approach. And Spock will be like, is that really what we're supposed to do? And he's like, yeah, let's just do it. So they've done that before. Spock has done that stuff. He took Captain Pike to Talos 4. He commandeered the whole ship. So it's not like she's the only character to ever do this stuff. And it's not like Kirk never did stuff outside the rules to try to get something done. Like, going to Genesis, for example. So it's something that we've seen in Star Trek, but with her, it's constant. Every 5 seconds, she's just, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do? Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. Like, you work for Starfleet. Why? How have you not been fired? And Saru finally says to her, you got to stop acting like this. So I don't know if the writers finally get it and they're sort of going to gradually step her down to where she's normal. But I was glad to see some pushback against that from him. Tig was featured in this episode. She's pretty cool. I like her. She's kind of like a Dr. McCoy, right, with the quips. So it's pretty cool. I like her. She's a little too unorthodox for me at the same time, but I do like her. How come they didn't immediately put the Discovery people in the new uniforms? How come at the end of the episode they didn't say, okay, well, if you're going to be on missions for us, if you're going to join us for real and be out on missions, you should be wearing the new uniform? Why didn't they do that? Seems to me they would have. Then they're all sort of being interrogated or debriefed by Starfleet, who put holograms on the task for some reason. Not really sure why, other than, so that they could show off technology to make, 3189 look more advanced than the 23rd century, which they desperately need to do, because it would be stupid if it didn't look more advanced. And I guess making holograms ubiquitous is a way to do that. But they're talking to Georgiou, and she does this thing where she blinks at them while she's talking. And it brain fries them, a la Harry Mudd's robots. And they shut down. And she goes, oh, if you blink at them like this, it messes them up. Really? Stupid. Just stupid. In another Berman moment, or raining in a Berman moment, the Admiral tells her, watch your tone. Finally, the people around her are, her superiors are starting to tell her, what are you doing? Snap to, get in shape. This is not, the Michael Burnham fleet. We have a protocol and I outrank you. Seriously. I was glad to see that. As much as Burnham annoys me, it was good to see her in command of the Discovery, because they wrote it well, and she, Sonequa Martin Green did a good job portraying those moments where she was in command and, working out the situation. So that was pretty cool. What I didn't understand was, why wasn't Nan in the brig? When she was being questioned, she's like, I'm not answering you anything, put me in the brig. And I was like, oh, they're going to throw her in the brig, but they didn't. Why? I mean, we know why by the end of the episode, but why does she say that then? Why did they have that moment? It's like different people are working on the episode, or, you know, writing it, and they don't connect all the dots at the end before they shoot it. I don't know. Then they beam over to the seed bank, and of course they have holographic helmets, you know, transparent holographic helmets, which are better than the, you know, the voice command like nanotech helmets that they had in the second season. Or was it the first season? I don't even remember. No, it was the second season. So that was annoying, but maybe they got them from Starfleet, you know, now that they've rejoined the fleet 1,000 years later, but they don't tell you that. So where do those come from? I don't know. They're just there. We just have to accept it because those totally existed 10 years before Kirk. Not. Then we're back to a scene where Georgiou is being debriefed by the guy who was in the room originally with her in the holograms, and he's telling her all the things he knows about Terran history. So I'm not sure how he would know that. I know it's been 1,000 years, and you know, but he says there haven't been any incursions in 500 years. So at what point did they learn Terran history, and who did they learn it from? Did they have infiltration missions where they went over and learned stuff and came back? What? There's no explanation for how they know Terran history. So I don't know. I thought that was weird. So they say before the crew members go over to the seed bank that they have to beam into it. There's no other way in. So when they first beam onto the facility, I guess, that houses the seed bank, I thought they were already in the seed bank. But no, they beam in, they walk through, they see the holograms of the family, of the guy that's running the place. And then they say, okay, now let's beam into the seed vault. Why wouldn't you beam directly to the seed vault? I mean, obviously it's so they can discover the family and that whole part of the story, but like it sticks out. You know, if you know you have to beam in, just beam in direct. Like, why would they? I don't know. Why would they do that? Why not just make it so they beam in, and then when they get to the seed vault, there's a door? If you know you're gonna have to do a double beam in, otherwise it just looks stupid. And speaking of the seed vault, when they're talking about it before they go over, they talk about how it's been around and it should still be around and so forth. And so that means that it was around 10 years before Kirk. And what I want to know is if this seed vault was around, this seed vault ship, I guess it's a ship, has been around since Kirk's time, then how come we had all those stories in the original series where Federation worlds were like, you know, in rough shape with, you know, food and their agriculture was messed up and they needed help? There were a bunch of those episodes, if I'm not mistaken. Why did we never hear of the seed bank? You know, even in a short trek, they're like, oh, well, we have to find a new food source for this planet. So I was messing around with the tribbles to see if they could be a food source. Why? You have a seed bank. Are none of them food? It's like the people writing the show don't know the history of Star Trek, and they don't know the history of their own show. I mean, maybe there's something I'm missing about that. Maybe you can tell me why they might still look for other things instead of, you know, turning to the seed bank. But even then, you'd think they would mention it. Well, we did what we could with the seeds in the seed bank, but now we have to also find them alternative, you know, protein sources and stuff. They never mention the seed bank. And then, of course, it turns out that the guy is a little mad, a little cuckoo mad, you know, the seed bank guy, because his family died of radiation poisoning, and he kind of went cuckoo mad from that and from the radiation poisoning, when basically a sun flare, or a sunspot, a solar flare, I should say, or a sunspot, zapped the ship, and while he was in transport, or they were in transport, or whatever, and messed them up and took them out of phase, or made them sick, or both, or whatever it was. And I'm trying to figure out, well, don't they have shielding? Wouldn't this be happening constantly to all the ships in the Starfleet and the Federation and other races as well, if they didn't have shielding against it? Why wouldn't they have had that? It doesn't make any sense. Again, maybe somebody can point out to me what I'm missing about that, but it didn't make sense to me. Oh, then they're like, oh, we can't get into the seed vault because we need the scientist's passcode in his voice to get through it. And I'm thinking, they couldn't synthesize his voice and, you know, do it that way. And they couldn't figure out what the passcode might be by thinking, this guy's family is pretty important to him and he has 2 daughters. I wonder if one or both of them, of their names are the passcode, or maybe the wife, or they didn't even try that. let's try his daughter's names, his wife's name, whatever, and synthesize his voice from the hollow recordings and get in that way. No, I mean, obviously they're going to want to help the guy anyway, but it's like they're, they help him, they calm him down, and he's sitting there, and they're like, please tell us. And he's like, no. And they couldn't just synthesize his voice and figure out the password. Really? I mean, stuff like that happens on non-science fiction shows, right? Where the detective figures out the password, based on pictures he sees in the room or, other clues, and guesses the password. So like Michael Burnham and the doctor and those folks, couldn't figure that out and then synthesize his voice. It's just, MacGuffin. It's MacGuffin type stuff where they put artificial roadblocks and then they work past them. I mean, I suppose all storytelling is that, but it's got to be more organic and less and less stupid. And then if you're going to do that, don't make it be, oh, it was just my daughter's name. It's like, really? I mean, that was cute and everything, but they would have figured that out and they would have synthesized his voice. And then they would have worried about helping him later. Oh, and of course, the one that can make him give it up, right? The password, or make him go and let them in, is Michael, right? Culber has another scene where he explains to her that she's the one that has to do it. She's the one that has to motivate him. She's the one that can get through. Only her. Like, really? Every week they do this. Why? It was never like that on the other shows. They let the other characters have the spotlight and do the things that needed doing. But in this show, always Michael. And people have been saying this from day one, and I never really noticed it. I didn't notice it was so bad, but it's bad. And they did it again. It's like, stop. I don't know why they keep thinking this is a good idea. Then Non announces that she's going to stay, which I guess makes sense. She's, missing her home world. She hasn't been there in a long time. She hadn't even heard the language in a long time. So she's going to stay and try to help this guy. But I'm thinking, he's going to be mentally unstable. Would they really leave him there? Like, wouldn't they take him off and leave just her for a while and try to get him, some help? No, he's going to stay there too. And they don't mention like, we'll have a scientist come aboard, a psychiatrist come aboard, or a counselor to help. No, they just leave him there out of his mind with grief and just having recovered from being out of phase, with only Non there to help him out. I wasn't buying that. I didn't think it made any sense. Speaking of which, why is Detmer still on bridge duty? Like, she's acknowledged that she's suffering from PTSD, and I guess the whole crew kind of is, so they don't really have too many options, but like, she's flying the ship. She's at the helm. Like, could you maybe put her on kitchen duty, like, while she's recovering? She's obviously not right in the head and not well enough to be at the helm, so I don't know. I just thought that was insane. But those are really the only notes I have about the episode. I liked it pretty well. I mean, it sounds crazy to say that after I just dinged it with all these different notes, but I thought it was a good episode. I thought it felt like Star Trek to me, which is good. And this is the 5th episode, and they're getting better at doing that episodic thing, right? All 5 episodes so far have been self-contained stories with, the overall story arch in the background. But, Voyager did that. And because of its premise, right? Its premise was, we're trying to get home. So that story was always in the background, but they had encapsulated episodes every week. And some, of course, were 2 or 3 parters or whatever, but those stories had a beginning, middle, and end, encapsulated, episodic. They're getting better at doing that on Discovery, and I like it much better, where they're doing these standalone stories that are connected to the overall plot, but they have their own beginning, middle, and end. They really didn't do that in the 1st and 2nd season, and it just made the show bad, in my estimation. So I'm glad they're getting better at that, and I look forward to next week. Book is coming back. They're going to do some on-planet stuff. So next week looks good. But this episode, I'll kind of give it a 3 out of 5, or like a 7 out of 10, because it was okay. And like I said, they're getting better at not making it seem so overly serialized, which makes it more like Star Trek. I want to talk briefly about CBS All Access. I have been having trouble with CBS All Access from day one. From the beginning of season one, I've been having trouble with it. When I first started watching Discovery, when the first season came out, I didn't have a smart TV, so I was using CBS All Access as a standalone app on my Xbox One. No, yes, on the Xbox One, I think. Anyway, and it would crash or freeze, like it was, what do you call it, when the little clock, it's clocking. It was always clocking. It would buffer. The episodes would buffer. It was like impossible to watch. You had to keep starting it and stopping it, and it was just so bad. And eventually I did get a smart TV, and the same thing happens. It will, well, I shouldn't say the same thing happens. It doesn't do the buffering. But what happens is, because I'm not paying extra to avoid all ads, I do get some ads. And every time it goes to a commercial, the stream will freeze. Almost like the moment it switches from one, stream to the next to show me the ad, it gets confused and it freezes up. And it's just bad. And this is on my smart TV. So today, when I watched the episode, like I've been doing, I was like, nope, this isn't going to work. So I would put it up on my phone and cast it to the TV. It still happens. When it goes into the ad, it freezes. So what I have to do is turn it off, turn it back on, start it over, and it picks up just before the ad. It goes into the ad, and I watch it play on the phone. It plays fine on the phone. And then when the ad is over, I cast it over to the TV. But if I let the ad play through while it's casting to the TV from the phone, it freezes. I called CBS All Access customer service a couple of weeks ago, and they're like, oh, just sign out and sign in. So they had me sign out and sign in and try it. And of course it was fine, but that's because it was 6 o'clock at night. I don't know what's going on at like 9 o'clock in the morning on Thursday when I'm watching. Is it just so many people are on watching it and it crashes, or it can't handle it? I don't know, the servers, I don't know, but it's just so bad. And I just can't escape the feeling that they're doing this. They have it so that it does this, so that people will upgrade and pay for no ads. But I'll be damned if I'm going to do that. I may call them again today and really rip them a new one, because, it's like, it's bad enough that it's behind a paywall to begin with. It's bad enough that they don't release all the episodes at once like other streaming services do with most of their shows. I have to, on top of that, deal with this situation where I can't watch it on the smart TV itself. I have to cast it to the TV, and I have to keep starting and stopping and stopping and starting it, because it freezes when it goes into the ads. And hope I don't know what, that they give me the no ad version for free. It's so bad. It did it during Picard. I don't remember doing it during Lower Decks, which is weird, but I couldn't swear that it didn't. So I don't know. It's so bad, and I just I'm not happy at all about it. But that's it for now. Tomorrow, episode 3 of The Mandalorian season 2 is coming out. I'm gonna try to do something interesting. I'm gonna try to get a friend of mine in on this via Zoom and see if we can do a little review of The Mandalorian season 2 so far. He's a little bit more of a Star Wars fan than I am. I'm a Star Wars fan, but I haven't kept up with it over the years as closely as some people. So there are going to be things he's going to catch that I'm not going to catch. There are going to be things he's going to know about it that I don't know about it. But I do want to review The Mandalorian, because I have been watching it, this season as well as last season. I think it's great. But we're going to get into a little bit more depth about our thoughts on it if I can arrange for him to join me. But that'll be either up tomorrow or over the weekend. Plus, there is some other entertainment news that I want to bring to you guys, so I might do another video later today and then upload that as well, or I might do that in the next day or so. So yeah, you're gonna see a couple of videos from me, guys. I know you're all thrilled. So anyway, that's all for now. I just wanted to do my review. I've put my email up. You can tweet at me. I'm gonna put that up, and that's it. So I will for now once again say peace and long life.